In Scotland, we have a system of enhanced self-regulation for fundraising. This means that the onus is really on the charities to make sure that the fundraising that they do is above board and of good standard, because nobody knows better than they do just how important it is that the standards of fundraising are good. It's easy to lose people's trust in charities, and then if that happens, then the whole thing collapses. So we rely on the charities to do this themselves. On the other hand, if they get to a stage where there's an issue with someone complaining and the charity can't sort it out themselves, then we are available as an independent panel to deal with that. The panel has two main responsibilities. One is to promote high standards of fundraising in Scotland, and the second is to adjudicate any complaints that come in about charities in Scotland, about their fundraising. At the heart of all of this, of course, is the standards that are expected of charities in fundraising, and these standards are that the fundraising should be legal, it should be open, honest and respectful. And that's all captured in the Code of Fundraising Practice, which specifies at great length, but in fairly readable detail, the kinds of things which charities are expected to do in terms of good practice. So one of the ways of promoting high standards is making sure that the code is well respected in Scotland and people understand about it. I think that we have an awful lot of small charities in Scotland, as people understand, and so the question of how small charities can cope with the code and with all the other ramifications of the code which are coming along just now in terms of legislation, that means that one of the main things which we will be having to look at, I think, is what the position of small charities is in Scotland. The other side, of course, is the adjudications. And the approach which we're taking, and which one would hope to take about this, is that if someone is complaining about fundraising, then this is an opportunity for the charity to learn about it. So the fundraising complaints themselves are also an element in trying to increase and improve the quality of fundraising. If the public has a complaint about charity fundraising, then there's a fairly simple three-stage process. First of all, they should get in touch with the charity itself and try and sort it out. And maybe the charity isn't aware that the kinds of fundraising they're doing are having the effect on people that it has. And so hopefully it can be sorted out just on the first stage. If they're unhappy with the reply they get, say, from the fundraising director of a charity, they should go to the charity trustees, because they have a responsibility to make sure that the fundraising is done well, and they have a responsibility for looking after the reputation of the charity. So the charity trustees are sort of the next stage, if it's appropriate, depending on the size of the charity. And if if the complainant still feels that they haven't got satisfaction from that kind of engagement, then they come to us. And we will look at the case, we will find out, we'll get back to the charity, find out what their story is and what the complainant's story is, and try and sort out some kind of a way through this. We do have people on the panel who have done investigations before on things like data protection, and so we're looking forward to seeing how we might actually be able to deal with this. We haven't had any complaints so far, so it's all a bit hypothetical at this stage. If there's a complaint about a charity, then they should know about it before it comes to the panel, because, as I say, the complainant should have been in touch with them. If the member of the public doesn't know how to do that, then there is a complaints hub which they can go to on the website, which will allow them to be directed to the charity, get the details of the charity and so on. So the charity should know all about it before it comes to us. Once it comes to us, as I say, we will investigate, find out what has been going on. We are a non-statutory body, and so the sanctions that we have are basically ones that are around reputation. We'll try and sort it out. We'll try and see if the charity might require a bit of help in doing this. Perhaps a bit of extra training might be available and so on. And if they are still fairly intransigent about it, then we will put on our website the fact that we have been investigating this charity and there has been a breach of the code in that case. If they persist in that, then it does become an issue of governance, because, as I say, charity trustees are supposed to look after the reputation of their charity. So they shouldn't get to the stage where it is being accused of bad fundraising in this sort of a way, and then it becomes an issue for Oscar. It may well, of course, be an issue for some other regulators. It may be that it's about, if the complaint has to do with the way in which it's been using information, then that would go to the Information Commissioner, and we would direct the complaint to the Information Commissioner to deal with, and they can impose fines and things like that if it's a serious breach. If there's bad advertising, we get in touch with the Advertising Standards Authority, and of course if there's a governance question, then we get in touch with Oscar, and if there's fraud, we get in touch with the police. So we're really only there for something which is purely fundraising, because a fundraising story may well have all these other elements in it, and if that's the case, then the charity may find that they will have to be scrutinised by some of the other regulators. We're light touch. That was the plan, and so we are a group of people who are doing this on a voluntary basis, which I'm certainly supportive of. We have one excellent member of staff, so we're quite light in terms of what capacity we have. So that forces us, should we need forcing, into working closely with the various partners that we have. And so, for example, I hope that we will be working with the Institute of Fundraising when it comes to their big annual conference in October. We've been invited to do something at that. I hope there'll be invitations and opportunities for us to meet the public and become more visible. There's no point, I mean, there are very few complaints coming through about charities, but then if people don't know where to go, and if they don't know that we're there, then that's not much. It doesn't mean that everything is fine and dandy. So we have to make sure that we're well known and that we are visible. So we'll be trying to do that in the time ahead. We'll also, I hope, again, I don't anticipate that we're likely to be coming up with guidelines of our own. I don't think we have the capacity for that, but we would be trying to persuade other people who do have that capacity that their members or the people that they are most involved with might benefit from guidelines, extra guidelines on the various aspects of fundraising, which will be coming up in the next few months.